What started as a perfect day at the water park turned into a nightmare when a little girl found herself in unexpected danger because of a lifeguard's reckless mistake. But what he didn't realize, that little girl's father was none other than Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. What happens next will leave you speechless. Stay tuned until the end to find out, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments. The sun blazed high, casting its golden glow over a packed water park, where the air buzzed with laughter, splashing water, and the excited screams of thrill seekers. The scent of sunscreen, chlorine, and fried food filled the air, blending with the sticky sweet aroma of melting ice cream. It was the kind of day meant for pure, carefree fun. For Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, today was about one thing: spending quality time with his 10-year-old daughter, Lila. His schedule rarely allowed for days like this, so he made sure it was going to be perfect. And Lila? She had been counting down the days, her excitement bubbling over from the moment they stepped through the gates. "Daddy, can we go on the big one first?" she asked, her eyes lighting up as she pointed at the towering water slide twisting high above the park. Dwayne chuckled, adjusting his sunglasses. "All right, kiddo, but promise me you won't scream too loud." Lila grinned mischievously. "No promises." As they moved through the park, Dwayne couldn't shake a certain feeling. It wasn't hostility, not outright, but he noticed the way some people hesitated, how their glances lingered a second too long. Even some of the staff seemed oddly reserved when speaking to him, their smiles forced, their greetings less enthusiastic than what he had seen them give others. He was used to it. But today? Today wasn't about that. Today was for Lila. They rode the massive water slide, their screams of joy mixing with the rush of water as they plunged into the deep pool below. Lila surfaced, laughing as she splashed him. "That was amazing. Can we do it again?" Dwayne wiped the water from his face and shook his head. "Let's check out the other rides first, champ. We've got all day." For the next few hours, they raced through obstacle courses, floated lazily in the river, and took turns diving off the boards. Everywhere they went, Dwayne kept noticing small things: the slightly longer wait times when they were at the front of a line, the quick side glances from certain visitors, the curt way some employees spoke to them. It was subtle, easy to ignore if you weren't paying attention. But Dwayne? He always paid attention. Still, he pushed it aside. Because Lila was happy. And that was all that mattered. After another round of slides, Lila tugged at his hand and pointed toward a concession stand. "Daddy, can I get some ice cream?" Her voice was so sweet, so full of hope, that Dwayne couldn't help but smile. "Of course, sweetheart. Wait right here, I'll go grab it." She nodded, bouncing excitedly on her heels as he walked toward the stand, his gaze never straying too far from her. The teenage cashier barely acknowledged him, moving at an agonizingly slow pace. "One vanilla cone," Dwayne said, placing a bill on the counter. The kid took his time, deliberate and sluggish, irritation creeping into Dwayne's chest. He clenched his jaw, exhaling slowly to keep himself calm. Then, a strange feeling hit him. Something was off. He turned his head. Lila was no longer standing where he had left her. Instead, she was near the deep pool, a small crowd gathering around. Murmurs filled the air. Something was happening. And at the center of it all, Lila. Her tiny frame stiff with fear, her wide brown eyes locked on something, someone, right in front of her. And that's when Dwayne realized something was very, very wrong. What happened next? You won't believe it. Stay with us to find out. What was supposed to be a fun day at the water park turned into a nightmare when a lifeguard made a reckless decision, but what he didn't realize, the little girl he targeted was the daughter of none other than Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. What happens next will leave you speechless. Stay until the end to see how this unfolds, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. The sun was blazing, the water park packed with people enjoying the scorching summer heat. Laughter, splashing, and the smell of chlorine mixed with fried food and melting ice cream, creating the perfect backdrop for a carefree day. For Dwayne Johnson, today was all about his 10-year-old daughter, Lila. No cameras, no business meetings, just quality time together. She had been looking forward to this for weeks, and from the moment they arrived, her energy was boundless. But everything changed in an instant. Lila stood by the deep pool, her small frame tense, her eyes locked onto a tall, broad-shouldered man in a red lifeguard uniform. Something was wrong. Dwayne's stomach dropped. His body moved before his mind could process the situation. He abandoned the ice cream, his long strides closing the distance between him and his daughter in seconds. As he got closer, he caught pieces of the conversation. "That's mine. Give it back." Lila's voice was sharp, edged with frustration and fear. "Oh yeah? You sure you didn't just sneak in here, kid?" The lifeguard's voice was mocking, dripping with casual cruelty. Dwayne's blood ran cold. The lifeguard, Travis Hunter, according to his name tag, was holding Lila's pink inflatable ring high above her head, just out of reach. His stance was relaxed, his expression smug, as if enjoying some private joke. Some bystanders exchanged glances but stayed silent. A few even chuckled under their breath. Lila's small fists clenched at her sides. "I paid for that. My dad bought it for me." Travis tilted his head, feigning confusion. "Oh, really? Are you sure this place is right for you? Maybe you'd be better off in the kiddie pool with the little ones." Lila's face twisted in anger. "I can swim better than you." Travis let out a loud, mocking laugh, making sure the crowd could hear. "Oh, you think you belong here with the real swimmers?" He turned to the onlookers, smirking. "You hear that? She thinks she can handle the deep end." A few people chuckled awkwardly. Others shifted uncomfortably but still didn't step in. Dwayne was close enough now to see it, the way Lila's body trembled, the uneven rise and fall of her breath. She was furious. She was scared. But she didn't back down. She took a step forward, hands reaching for the inflatable. "Just give me my ring back." Travis leaned in, his grin widening. "How about you prove it first?" Before she could react, he turned and hurled the inflatable ring into the deep end of the pool. It landed with a loud splash, bobbing on the surface. The crowd murmured. Dwayne's fists clenched. "Why did you do that?" Lila's voice was shaking now. Travis shrugged. "You said you could swim. Go get it." Instinctively, Lila took a step forward. She wasn't thinking, just reacting. That's when it happened. Travis shifted his foot, just slightly, just enough. Lila's foot caught against his. Her balance snapped. She stumbled, arms flailing, feet skidding on the wet tile. Then, she fell. A sharp scream tore from her throat as she plunged backward into the deep end. For a moment, the world seemed to pause. Then, chaos. And Dwayne was already moving. The second Lila hit the water, his heart stopped. The splash echoed in his ears, drowning out the gasps from the crowd. His body acted on pure instinct, muscles coiling, feet pushing off the ground with the urgency only a father in desperation could summon. But even as he surged forward, even as he tore through the space between him and the pool, he saw something that made his fury burn hotter than the summer sun. Travis. Standing at the pool's edge. Arms crossed. Smirking. Smirking like he hadn't just watched a child fall. Smirking like he hadn't caused it. The sheer audacity, the unapologetic cruelty, it made Dwayne's blood boil. But his anger had to wait. His daughter was sinking. The water had swallowed Lila whole. She had fallen hard, hitting the surface with enough force to disorient her. For a brief second, she resurfaced, arms flailing, eyes wide with sheer panic. Then, she slipped under again. Dwayne didn't think. He didn't hesitate. He didn't stop to yell at Travis or demand answers from the crowd. None of it mattered. Only Lila mattered. With one powerful motion, he dove into the water. The coolness shocked against his heated skin as he plunged downward. Everything changed beneath the surface. The noise of the crowd became distant, muffled. The only thing he could hear was the thunderous pounding of his own heartbeat. His eyes burned from the sting of chlorine as he frantically scanned the water. The pool wasn't endless, but in that moment, it felt like an ocean. Then, he saw her. Lila was sinking fast. Her limbs were sluggish, her movements weak. One arm reached upward, fingers stretching toward the surface like a silent plea. But she wasn't kicking hard enough. She wasn't swimming. She was in shock. Her lips were slightly parted, bubbles slipping out as she lost air. Dwayne's chest clenched with terror. He pushed harder, his powerful strokes cutting through the water as he closed the distance between them. She was barely conscious. That scared him more than anything. If she stopped fighting, if she let the water take her, she wouldn't make it. And he wasn't going to let that happen. With one final, forceful lunge, he reached her. His arms wrapped around her small frame, pulling her close. But this wasn't over yet. What happened next would change everything. Stay with us to see what Dwayne does next, and how he makes sure this lifeguard never forgets the name Johnson. What should have been a fun day at the water park turned into a nightmare, but when a reckless lifeguard pushed things too far, he had no idea who he was dealing with. The father of the little girl he put in danger? None other than Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. What happens next will leave you stunned. Watch till the end to see how it all unfolds, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. The moment Lila hit the water, everything else ceased to exist. Floating weightlessly, her small body was unresponsive. Dwayne's heart clenched with a terror unlike anything he had ever felt before. He didn't let it slow him down. With her limp frame secured against his chest, he pushed off the bottom of the pool with everything he had, his powerful legs propelling them both toward the surface. His lungs burned, his muscles screamed in protest, but none of it mattered. His only focus, getting his daughter to air. The second they broke through the water, Dwayne sucked in a desperate breath, his grip tightening around Lila's unmoving body. The murmurs from the crowd turned into full-blown panic. "Oh my God! Is she okay? She's not moving. Someone call for help." None of them mattered. Not the lifeguards who suddenly seemed interested in their jobs now that it was too late. Not the bystanders scrambling closer. Nothing mattered except the small, still body in his arms. He hauled Lila toward the pool's edge, ignoring everything else. He lifted her out of the water and laid her on the wet tile. She wasn't breathing. Her chest wasn't rising. Her lips were tinged blue, her face pale, too pale. A cold terror gripped Dwayne in a way nothing ever had before. He had taken hits in the ring, faced injuries, performed stunts gone wrong. But nothing compared to this. To the fear of seeing his daughter lying lifeless in front of him. His hands trembled as he tilted her head back. His training took over, even through the haze of panic. He pinched her nose shut, sealed his lips over hers, and breathed. 1, 2. He pulled back, pressing his hands against her small chest, delivering strong, precise compressions. "Come on, baby," he whispered, his voice hoarse. "Come back to me." 1, 2, 3. Another breath. More compressions. Nothing. The world around him blurred, the crowd, the noise, even the sun beating down on his soaked skin. There was only Lila. His little girl. His entire world slipping away. No, he wouldn't let that happen. He pressed down again. Then, a cough. Lila's small body convulsed as she gasped for air. Water spilled from her lips. She gagged, choked, then sucked in a ragged breath. Her chest rose sharply. Her eyes fluttered open, wide and filled with disoriented panic. Relief hit Dwayne like a tidal wave, nearly knocking the breath from his own lungs. He exhaled shakily, his hands trembling as he cupped her damp face. "You're okay, baby. I got you. You're okay." Lila blinked up at him, dazed, her breath still uneven. Reality set in. Tears welled in her eyes as she clung to his arm, her small body shaking uncontrollably. "Daddy." Her voice was barely a whisper. "I'm here," he assured her, pressing a kiss to her forehead, his own eyes burning. "I'm right here." The relief was overwhelming. But it didn't last. Because then, that voice. Well, she made it, didn't she? Dwayne's head snapped up. Travis Hunter stood just a few feet away, arms crossed, that same smug smirk still plastered on his face. Like nothing had happened. A hush fell over the crowd. The murmurs of concern shifted, unease, confusion. Some people glanced between Travis and Dwayne, uncertain of what they had just witnessed. Others looked away, unwilling to acknowledge the truth. Dwayne rose to his feet, his entire body tensing. Water dripped from his skin, his soaked shirt clinging to his frame. His breathing was still heavy, but exhaustion was nothing compared to the rage boiling inside him. Travis tilted his head, raising an eyebrow. "What?" he asked, his voice casual. "She said she could swim. I just gave her a chance to prove it." The words settled over the crowd like a lead weight. Some gasped. Others shifted uncomfortably. A few still tried to pretend they hadn't seen what had just happened. Dwayne took a step forward. Travis's smirk didn't waver. But there was something else now. A flicker of uncertainty. Dwayne's fists clenched at his sides. His entire body coiled with restrained fury. Lila was still trembling against him, her tiny fingers gripping his shirt with what little strength she had left. She had just come face to face with death. And the man responsible for it was standing there, acting like it was a joke. Travis exhaled, shaking his head. "Look, man, you're making a big deal out of nothing. She's fine. You got to play hero, and everything worked out. So what's the problem?" His tone was dismissive, like he truly believed there would be no consequences. For a split second, Dwayne considered knocking him out cold right then and there. But no. This wasn't over. Not even close. Because Travis Hunter had just made the biggest mistake of his life. And Dwayne Johnson was about to show him exactly why. What happens next? You won't believe it. Stay tuned. What started as a fun day at the water park turned into an unthinkable nightmare, but the lifeguard responsible had no idea whose daughter he had just put in danger. When Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson realized what had happened, things took a turn that no one expected. Stay tuned to see how this intense moment played out, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Dwayne's fists clenched, his entire body tense with rage. He could knock that smug smirk right off Travis Hunter's face right now. But he knew better. That wasn't the answer. Not yet. Before Dwayne could speak, a voice from the crowd cut through the thick, uneasy silence. "I saw it." A young man stepped forward, his phone held high, the screen still recording. "I got everything on video." He tripped her. Gasps rippled through the onlookers. Murmurs grew louder. The uncertainty in their eyes shifted into realization, into anger, into disgust. Some had already suspected the truth. Now, there was no denying it. Travis's face darkened. For the first time, his smirk faltered. "You better watch what you're saying, kid," he muttered. But his voice had lost that cocky confidence. Dwayne took a slow, deliberate step forward. His massive frame towered over the lifeguard, his presence radiating controlled fury. "Say that again." Travis swallowed hard. His fingers flexed at his sides. And for the first time, he seemed to realize he was no longer in control of this situation. "Play the video," Dwayne said, never breaking eye contact. The young man didn't hesitate. He pressed play. The water park fell into absolute silence. On the screen, the truth played out in real time. Lila, standing near the pool, frustration in her voice as she demanded her inflatable ring back. Travis, holding it above her head, taunting her. The moment he threw it into the deep end, daring her to retrieve it. The slight, almost imperceptible movement of his foot. The stumble. The fall. The splash. And then, Travis standing there, arms crossed. Watching. Smirking. Doing nothing. The murmurs turned into full-blown outrage. "He did push her," a woman gasped. "That was on purpose," another man muttered, shaking his head in disbelief. More voices joined in, anger spreading like wildfire. The bystanders who had once been silent were now filled with righteous fury. Travis shifted uncomfortably. His smirk was gone. His eyes flickered between Dwayne, the crowd, and, most importantly, the security guards now making their way toward the scene. His jaw tightened. Panic flashed in his eyes for the first time. "Okay, everyone just calm down," he said, raising his hands in mock surrender. "It's not what it looks like." Dwayne's stare was unrelenting. "Then tell me," he said, his voice cold as steel. "What exactly is it?" Travis opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Dwayne took another step forward. "You let my daughter drown." His voice was sharper now, each word cutting like a blade. "You stood there and watched. And now, you're still standing here, acting like you did nothing wrong." His fists clenched so tightly his knuckles turned white. "What kind of man does that?" Travis scoffed, trying to salvage whatever arrogance he had left. "She said she could swim." "I figured she'd be fine," he muttered, shrugging. The crowd erupted again. "Fire him," someone shouted. "Call the cops," another person added. The voices grew louder, blending into a storm of outrage. Then, a sudden authoritative voice sliced through the noise. "Travis Hunter." The water park director had arrived, flanked by 2 security guards. An older man, dressed in the official uniform of park management. His expression? Pure fury. "We saw the video." His voice was sharp, leaving no room for argument. "You're done here." Travis's face turned red. His fists trembled at his sides. "You can't fire me over this," he snapped. "It's just one stupid kid." Silence. The director's tone was final. "Pack your things. You're banned from this park." Effective immediately. Travis's entire body tensed. He looked around, searching for support, but found none. The same people who had chuckled with him earlier now looked at him with nothing but disgust. Even the other lifeguards were stepping away, distancing themselves. He had lost. Dwayne didn't blink. "Get out." His voice was calm. Controlled. But there was no mistaking the command in it. Travis's jaw clenched. But he knew there was no winning this. Muttering curses under his breath, he turned and stormed off, his wet sneakers squelching with every furious step. The crowd parted for him. Some whispered. Others recorded his walk of shame. And just like that, he was gone. The moment he disappeared from sight, the tension finally broke. Applause erupted. Cheers of approval rippled through the onlookers. Some people clapped. Others whistled. The energy shifted from outrage to satisfaction. Justice had been served. But for Dwayne, the moment of victory was hollow. Because when he looked down, his daughter was still trembling in his arms, still clinging to him with a grip that spoke of lingering fear. He held her close. "You're safe, baby. I got you." And in that moment, nothing else mattered. But what happened next? You won't believe it. Stay tuned. A terrifying moment at the water park nearly cost a little girl her life, but the lifeguard responsible had no idea who her father was. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson wasn't just going to let this go. What happens next will leave you speechless. Stay until the end, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Dwayne held Lila close, feeling the tremors still racking her small body. She was safe, but far from okay. The cheers around them faded into nothing. His world was reduced to the little girl gripping his soaked shirt as if letting go would send her back into the abyss. "I've got you, baby. I've got you." His voice was steady, but inside, his heart still pounded with the memory of those awful seconds when she wasn't breathing. Her voice was hoarse when she finally spoke. "Daddy. I was scared." "I know, baby. But you're okay now." Then, in a whisper filled with lingering fear, he pushed me. Rage threatened to consume him again, but he forced it down. Travis was gone, fired, humiliated, banned. But that didn't erase what had happened. It didn't take away the fear in her eyes or the way she still clung to him, too shaken to let go. A medic arrived, checking her vitals. "She's stable, just in mild shock. Keep an eye on her." Dwayne nodded, thanking the man before turning back to Lila. She hadn't spoken much since admitting she was scared. She hadn't looked at the water. She hadn't let go of him. Then came the words that hit him harder than any punch he'd ever taken. "I don't want to swim anymore." His chest tightened. He had expected it, but hearing it still felt like a gut punch. Fear had its grip on her now, threatening to take something she once loved. Dwayne wasn't going to let that happen. He carried her away from the pool, away from the water that had once been her favorite place in the world. But he knew running from fear wouldn't fix this. In the quiet of the changing room, he sat beside her, waiting. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. "Are we going home? If that's what you want, we can." She nodded, but there was no relief on her face. She was still trapped in the fear, and Dwayne wasn't going to let her stay there. "You know," he said, "when I was your age, something like this happened to me." Her brows furrowed. "What do you mean?" "I almost drowned too. It scared me so bad I told myself I'd never go near water again." She stayed quiet, absorbing his words. "Fear is like a bully," he continued. "It takes things from you, little by little, until one day, you realize it's taken everything. First, it's swimming. Then, it's something else. Pretty soon, you're avoiding things without even knowing why." She swallowed hard. "But how do you stop it?" "You stand up to it. One step at a time." A long silence stretched between them before she whispered, "I don't know if I can." "That's okay," he said gently. "But I do." She hesitated, her small fingers gripping his. "What if I try and I still get scared?" Dwayne smiled. "Then you do it scared. Because being brave doesn't mean you're not afraid, it means you don't let fear decide for you." For the first time since the fall, her expression shifted. Not confidence, but something close. A flicker of determination. "Okay." The final battle, facing the water again. The sun dipped lower in the sky as Lila stood at the edge of the pool, staring at the water that had once been her safe place. It looked different now, darker, deeper. Dwayne stood beside her, arms crossed, silent. He wasn't rushing her. He was just there, waiting. "You don't have to do this now," he said softly. "But I think you're ready." She swallowed. "I don't feel ready." That's fear talking. Her breath shook. But she took a step forward. Cold water touched her toes. A shiver ran up her spine. But she didn't back away. Another step. Water rose to her knees. Then her waist. She hesitated. The last time she was this deep, she had been sinking. "You're doing good," Dwayne encouraged. She took another step. The water reached her chest. Panic flared. But she stayed. A deep breath. Then, she lifted her feet. For a moment, fear screamed at her. But then, a small kick. Then another. She wasn't sinking. She wasn't drowning. She was floating. A slow clap started. Then another. Then more. Lila turned, realizing people had been watching. But they weren't pitying her. They were cheering for her. She looked at her father. He was grinning, pride shining in his eyes. "You did it." Lila exhaled. A real smile, small but real, formed on her lips. "I did it." For the first time since the fall, she believed it. She stepped out of the pool, lighter than she had felt all day. The fear was still there, but it no longer controlled her. She had won. Dwayne crouched beside her. "How do you feel, kiddo?" She looked down at her wet arms, then back at the water. "Good," she said, grinning. "Better than Travis." Dwayne laughed, shaking his head. "Yeah, I'd say so." Her mother rushed forward, pulling her into a tight embrace. "I'm so proud of you, baby. So proud." Lila held on, but she realized she didn't need to. She had saved herself today. The park director approached cautiously. "Mr. Johnson, Lila, I just want to say how deeply sorry we are." Dwayne held up a hand. "Just make sure it never happens again." The man nodded quickly and walked away. Lila took a deep breath, the air feeling lighter in her lungs. She turned to her father, her smile growing. "Can we get that ice cream now?" Dwayne chuckled. "You almost drowned today, and the first thing on your mind is ice cream?" She grinned. "You promised." He sighed, shaking his head playfully. All right. Ice cream it is." As they walked away, the weight of the day lifted from their shoulders. Lila still felt the echoes of fear, but they weren't loud anymore. Because today, she had proven something to herself. She was stronger than what happened to her. As she took a bite of her ice cream, she glanced up at her father. "You were right." "About what?" "Fear is a bully." Dwayne smiled, ruffling her damp braids. "And what do we do to bullies?" Lila grinned. "We don't let them win." What would you have done in this situation? Let us know in the comments. If you believe in standing up to fear, like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more powerful stories.